Hello and welcome to Finger Thinking, a channel dedicated to analog productivity and creativity tools. Okay, well it is Typewriter Tuesday and I have another $10 marketplace special. So I've just picked this up. I bought it from an older couple who are downsizing and moving to the country. So this is a one owner. She has had it, she bought it new and I love it how old people love to tell me that, oh, I used to type on it. Well, what else did you used to do with it? But anyway, so she bought it and used to type on it. But yeah, they don't need it anymore. So I am the lucky new owner of an Imperial 200. Now, I want to say I have one of these. I'm sure I do. I'm sure I've got one of these in cream, but good gracious, I think I've got about 80 typewriters now. I just lose track. Anyway, if I do have one, I certainly don't use it a lot, and if I've even ever tested it, it's been in the cupboard for a while. So anyway, I do get a kick out of the $10 marketplace finds. So I don't know if it works. I believe it does. They said, oh, it should still work. So it should still work. Well, we'll find out. It looks to be in pretty good nick. All I checked on it was to make sure that it had all the keys on it. I'm stunned at how many people advertise typewriters for a few $100s and say, it's in great condition, it's just missing a key. Well, if it's missing one key, it's of no use to anyone. And then they wonder why no one buys their typewriter. Anyway, so I checked to see that the keys were all there and that it hadn't been dropped. And then otherwise, if it works, that's great. If it doesn't, I will have to fix it. So let's have a look. All right, so the case, I'm going to start with the case because that is one little thing that I did notice. So on the case, we do have the strap has come out. So I'm not quite sure how to fix this, but I'll certainly have a look at it. And if nothing else on this video, we will figure out how to fix the strap off one of these because there's nothing holding that in there. So we'll figure that out. But otherwise, the case is in good condition. It's got some grandkids scribbles on it, but otherwise, that's good. The typewriter itself, oh look, it needs a once over with a wipe. Bit of paint kind of scratching there, or is that dirt? No, that's paint, that's just from the case rubbing. Otherwise, looks here, so we've got the serial number on the outside, which is a little unusual. I don't think I have any other typewriters with the serial number on the outside. I'm so used to the serial number being in the mechanism somewhere. All right, other side, that looks okay. Doesn't move, and it moves. Okay, so that seems to be pretty straightforward. Okay, so we're off to a good start. My last kind of few $10 specials have ended up taking me a few days to clean up. So hopefully this is just a quick once over and I have a nice little machine. All right, look, if we just have a bit of I don't know if anyone else has a background on the Imperial 200s. What I understand is that this is a machine, the Imperials, they're a UK machine. And according to the internet, the company was founded in 1911 by an American Spanish engineer named Hidalgo Moya. And so he actually built his first typewriter as a Moya typewriter and then set up the Imperial Typewriter Company in Leicester in England with 3 other blokes. So like most typewriter companies, as soon as this hit the 60s and 70s, it went through a few ownership changes. So most of the Imperials that I'm familiar with are the Imperial Good Companion series. So I know that I have an Imperial Good Companion 4. I think I've got a 5 out there somewhere. I don't have any of the really early ones, And certainly in Australia, you get a lot of the Imperial Good Companion kind of, the really early ones, and they've even got like the King George V seal on them. So I really would like one of those, but they keep coming up and they're a few $100s, and I refuse to pay that much, and then I'm just not watching quick enough when they drop down and they're sub $100. But one day I will add one to my collection. Anyway, by the time this machine was produced, the Imperial Typewriter Company had been purchased by Lytton Industries, and so I believe this was still assembled in the UK, but a lot of the parts were shipped over from America apparently. Towards the end of its life, the factory did have a few industrial relations and union issues with workers going on strike and stuff. But in the mid-1970s, the company was then sold from Lytton to Volkswagen. And then in 1979, Volkswagen sold the Imperial brand to the Olivetti Group. And it's stopped making typewriters by then anyway, so I don't know what Olivetti bought, but apparently 1979 was the very end of the typewriter journey for Imperial. So I'm not quite sure where this one sits. If that's a 2068574, I'm just going to have a really quick look. I'll be back in a sec. Okay, so I just had a quick look at the typewriter database. There are a few of these listed as the Imperial Silver Seiko era machines. Based on there's only 3 entrants in there though, so this looks like it's a 1972-ish model. But yeah, so early 1970s, which would be about right. Okay, so let's just have a look at the machine. We can see that everything works, which is fabulous. I think this machine has had a lot of use for a couple of reasons. I'm just going to zoom in. And if we just look here in the type basket, there are lots of lines. You can actually see where the type bars have marked on this plate. I don't know what this is called. But yeah, so that's had a lot of use there. And we can also see on the platen itself, you can see the indent marks. Like this has had a lot of use. And as that's just free turning, okay, we might have discovered an issue. So I don't know where this is. This is just free turning at the moment. Okay, so this might be more than just a let's have a quick look at a clean video. All right, so it's had a lot of use. It's been sitting there doing nothing for a while. If I take the top off, okay, so that is just, that little grommet there is rock solid. Well, that's kind of stuck in there actually, and I've just made that worse. Anyway, so I'm going to have to do something with that, or that's going to rattle around. But so it's got a ribbon in it. I don't know if it's the right ribbon. It certainly seems to have. Okay, very good. Well, that's engaged. So, though it is 2 completely different spools. So I'll pull that off and have a look at it. It's a little bit dusty. Okay, so I'll get the Compu cleaner out and blow a lot of that dust out. But otherwise, yeah, so before I type, I'm just going to give it a quick blowout. I don't like, if I can see dust and stuff on typewriters, I don't like it working it into the mechanism. I'd rather just remove it first. So I'll quickly do that and we'll come back. For anyone who's new, my favorite little device for cleaning typewriters is the Compu cleaner. It's just a little Amazon special that does a great job of blasting, of compressed air. So I don't have an air compressor, I don't want to use the cans, so I use this. don't know if you can see the hole in this ribbon. It's right there. And I do wonder, whenever I see a ribbon with a hole in it, I get worried that the carriage has been stuck, because the holes appear when the ribbon has been typed in the same spot over and over again. So I wonder if that's a symptom of a bigger problem. Okay, look, so that should be enough blasting. For now, it's got all of the surface level dirt out of the way. And the next step is I am going to put a piece of paper in it and see if it types. Okay, so I've got some paper here. Let's put the paper bale up. Oh, all right. Yeah, that's odd. Because that lever's all the way. Oh. Yeah, righto. Okay, so that's a bit weird. All right, so I'm used to, on these machines, I will zoom in. On these machines, I'm used to seeing the zero spacing, zero line spacing right at the back, so it goes 0, 1, 2. Whereas this one, the zero, the disengage, is all the way at the front. So that's what spooked me earlier. This was on 0, and I'm like, oh no, because that was all the way forward. I couldn't see the 0 from my angle because the lever's sitting in the way. And I'm like, oh no, I'm going to have to fix the paper feed. But I do not. Okay, that actually sounds like the line spacing's huge, but I guess we'll find out in a second. All right, so I don't have a ribbon in it. That won't be a big deal. I just want to see if it types, and I should be able to see enough of an imprint on the page. It's on, is that on red? Red, okay. Well, isn't that a pleasant surprise? Well, I'll zoom in, though there isn't a lot to see. But yeah, that typed really nicely. Let's see if all the keys work. Far out. I have not had that for ages. All of the $10 typewriters that I've bought recently have been pigs. For a reason. There was a reason they were $10. All right, anyway, there might not be much to do on this one at all. Okie dokie. That's pretty exciting. Okay, I think, because I was a bit worried about this, and that's not an issue, that was just an ignorance problem, user error. I think this just needs a bit of a wipe down, and I'll put probably the correct ribbon back into it, because that wasn't really winding properly, and that's winding fine, I think. Yeah, so if we switch that over, that one works fine, so that's all good. Wow, okay, excellent. I'll give it a bit of a wipe, and then I'll put a ribbon in it, and we'll come back. Okay, so that was actually pretty clean. The discoloration that you see on the keys, that just seems to be something that's very standard for this model. Generally when I see these online, yeah, there's always a little bit of yellow on the keys. I've always thought that maybe it was kind of nicotine or something like that because of the age, and everyone used to smoke back then, but there isn't a whiff of cigarette smoke anywhere near this machine, and so many of them online do have various stages of discolorization or discoloration on the keys, so I think that's just going to be the material. There's not much I can do about it, but yeah, so I've wiped the germs off them and that's where I'll leave it. Now I have another ribbon. So I just had a quick look online at the manual and it says it's a group 4 ribbon, or it showed a picture of, in the manual, the ribbon with the 3 holes. So that's what I'll put in it. Again, just one of the cheap Chinese ribbons that I used to test machines. One of the reasons you can tell they're so cheap is because they probably fill up half the spool when you get them. So, but they serve their purpose for testing. Okay, so that's, the ribbon lift is a bit stiff by the look of that. And that's not winding at all, which means I don't have that sitting down properly. Okay. Oh. That was the worst job of putting a ribbon in ever. I didn't even have it sitting on the lugs. No wonder the ribbon wasn't turning, but I don't know why the ribbon lifter isn't working. Try this on red. Okay, so it types, but the ribbon lifter doesn't really work great, does it? And we did sort of see that when I got it in. It just, the ribbon was in a bit of a mess. I just assumed that was because they tipped it round or something. But yeah, maybe I need to have a bit of a look at the ribbon lifter. So I'm going to do a little bit more typing. At least the ribbon is winding. So yeah, why that other ribbon had that hole in it from typing in the one spot, I don't know, because it wasn't at the end of the ribbon either, it was in the middle of it. So, but yeah, I need to have a bit of a look at this. So the ribbon is going to come out. Okay, so after taking all of the bits and pieces off the typewriter, I have thought, you know what? I wonder if it's just somehow this kind of V bracket. Whoops, let's zoom in. I wonder if maybe it's somehow this V bracket has just been bent forward a little bit. Maybe when someone was doing a bad job of changing the ribbon, and now it fouled on these two fingers. So all I did was just with my thumb, I've just pushed it back ever so slightly on both sides. And now look at this. I've spent 20 minutes faffing around for what was a 10-second fix. Oh dear. Oh well, I did find the pin in the bottom of the machine, and it just allowed me to blow a little bit more of those crumbs, those bloody typewriter eraser crumbs out of the bottom of the machine. So at least I know it's had kind of a bit of a good clean. All right, so I'll put it back together off camera and then I'll jump on in a minute. Okay, so the machine's all back together. It went back together really, really easily and quickly. So if you ever do need to pull these apart, it's really straightforward. It's just the two screws on the top and then two screws on each side of the back. I'm glad I took the bottom off because it meant that I could kind of get the extra bit of kind of crud that was sitting in the bottom and those bloody eraser crumbs. And I also was able to find that pin, so that wasn't going to get in the way of anything. So right, now I'm just going to put another piece of paper in the top and we'll see if it works. Okie dokie. The black seems to work really well. Let's try it on the red. And the bell works. Excellent. So I'll just run through each of the keys. Okay, so that's great. Let's roll that up. Zoom that in. Okay, so it looks like this is let's count it, 10 characters per inch. So this is a big picker font. It's a pretty standard font. There's nothing special about it. Typeface, sorry. What I'm really happy about is that there doesn't seem to be, there's a tiny, tiny, tiny little amount of a little bit of red in the bottom of a couple of the lowest case letters. That's okay, I can cope with that. It could also be the fact that this is a cheap Chinese ribbon. I am not going to faff around trying to fix something that might not be the typewriter. Otherwise, yeah, it types nicely. So the other day when I did my review on the Royal 202 that I picked up from the op shop, my complaint, I didn't do a full kind of typing test on it, but one of my observations were that this top row of keys was just angled a little bit further away from me than I'd like. This machine is probably of the same vintage and has that same little kind of angle up on the keys, but that's okay. I'm liking the action on this very much. I suspect I will like it a lot. The biggest thing already that I don't like about this is I don't like the picker typefaces. I don't like the fact that I get to the end of the row and it happens too quickly. So I prefer a slightly smaller typeface. And of course, if it's a fancy typeface, well, that's just really exciting. But otherwise, this machine is great. Like, it's pretty standard. If I just do a quick feature overview, let's go from front to back this time. So it's a tricolor. It does have a touch selector. I'm never convinced that those things make any difference whatsoever. But the touch selector is outside the machine. It has the backspace button on the correct side of the machine. These mix in, like sometimes it's on the right, sometimes it's on the left. I like it on the right, of course, because typing on computer keyboards, that's where the backspace is. It has the full number set, so it has the 1 and the 0, which is great. It has both pounds and which means it's definitely after 1966, but I think we established that this was probably about a 1972 machine. So the ribbon that it uses is the Group 4 with the 3 holes on it. This is just a cheap Chinese one. And there's nothing fancy in the actual body of the machine. When we get to the back of it, I'm going to take the paper out. Okay, so we have a pretty standard, we kind of have this paper guide here. We have the little dot in it as well, where I can put my pen, and then if I wanted to just draw lines on bits of paper, that's what that's for. So I can use that. The paper bale, first of all, it's bent. Second of all, it's just the really not fancy type that you got by the 1970s. There's no rollers on it. It's just a bar that sits down. It does have a little bit of a kind of spring in it over here. We have the line spacing. So we have 1, 2. So I don't know what the difference between, there's a red dot down here. So I don't know what the difference between having it all the way back on that red dot means. But still we've got 1, 2, if I move it forward to the 1 setting. 1, 2 again, if I move it forward to the 1.5 setting. So I get 3 notches, and if I move it forward to the 2 setting, I get 4 notches. So that's pretty standard. The only odd thing was having the 0, so the kind of free adjustment all the way at the front. But oh well, now I know what that is, or where that is. I'm not going to think my typewriter is broken. One of the things this does have, and I really like it when these little portables have that, they have the little kind of cutouts in the carriage, so you can see when your paper's running out. So they've got that on both sides. So that's great. When it comes to the carriage release, that's only on one side on this machine. It's this lever here. If you wanted to just release the paper, then that, oh, I sit here and it goes the wrong way. So that actually moves backwards, and then you can just pull your paper out. The margin tabs, pretty standard design. They move fine. I do like it when they have the little red arrow in the middle to show me where the marker actually is. Not all of them do that, don't understand why. The paper stand, really easy to use. The carriage return, so it's a metal lever. There's no plastic in this machine, which is good actually. So it is definitely a portable, but it's probably, I haven't weighed it. It's certainly not under 5 kilos. I would expect this to be about 5.5 or 6 kilos. And yeah, there is nothing fancy at the back. We know the bell works. And yeah, sorry, this is a very standard, really, really typical machine. There is nothing special about this. However, for $10, and I get to spend a bit of time on Typewriter Tuesday fixing a typewriter, certainly I've spent my money on stupider things. So if one of these crosses your path, I reckon you're going to really enjoy it, certainly if it works. I really should go out and pull out my other Imperial 200. I'm sure I've got a beige one, and see if it works. And already this also looks like stuff like the Royal Signet and bits and pieces. So there's a whole bunch of models that look very similar that were released about the same time. So I don't know if they have the same mechanism in them though. I can't talk to that, but certainly aesthetically they look similar. But yeah, I do like that it's blue. That's pretty nifty. I like that the case is a matching blue. But yeah, so I think I will have a fun evening typing on this. And so yeah, if one crosses your path and it's a few dollars, get it. If it's $100, far out, there's $100 you can spend on something else. But certainly if you see these come up in the $10, $20, $30 mark, certainly on Marketplace I'm aware of a few of them which are around $30, or have dropped down to $30, because the beige ones especially are a bit of a yawn to look at. But yeah, so if they turn out to be as nice to use as this, I would suggest grab one if you don't already have one. Okay, so that is the review. Thank you very much for watching. We did get to fix a problem. Great. That's always the kind of the funnest part about these, I think, is the learning aspect for me and hopefully for you guys. So I really appreciate the time that you spend watching the finger thinking videos. I would greatly appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. Help the YouTube world see more typewriter videos. Yeah, if you leave me a comment, if you know anything about these machines, if you like these machines or have feedback, I love reading your comments, so please leave me a comment. I try to respond to all of them, so if I've ever missed a comment, I'm really sorry. That was by accident. But yeah, so I love hearing the feedback. Thank you very much, and have a great day.